Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn as You Go. And all of a sudden, my dog is like, it's raining outside. There's thunder here too. By Wendy may disappear off the screen like by magic, because she's already had her power go out once. So there's that energy that is there. So what I would say is welcome, and I have both Suri and Wendy here. What I want to do is give you a sample of what this class is going to be like. And basically, I want to really talk about at this point what the eclipses are going to be doing and what the nodes are and how they are very significant in your chart. And the eclipses that happen for everyone. Even though you might not have anything in that particular house, it still will affect you in huge ways. So I wanted you to see that in your chart, and also with the charts of these lovely ladies that have allowed me to utilize their charts, because there's some interesting points to bring up. So first of all, everyone gets an opportunity to have the collective nodes going through the chart. So right now the axis is Virgo, and Pisces, the body and spiritual alignment of things. That's what we're being asked to work on. A lot of us also have the additional understanding of having Pluto in Virgo, which gives us extra problems with the South Node going over that area of our chart, because Pluto is very about, death and rebirth and transformational energy. And the people that were born, specifically during that time, are getting addressed now in their chart. So that's very, very important for people to realize that anybody that was born from like 1956 through like 1971, all of that amount of time was all Pluto in Virgo energy, and we're being asked to become leaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by looking at Wendy's chart, showing you some things that are happening in her chart. And then you are going to be allowed to ask questions. So if you can think of something that might be of a question, Wendy's welcome to ask questions about her chart. If you have something like a general question about the nodes, or, the sign that the nodes are in, or a house that it's in, I'd be happy to address those. So we're going to keep an eye on hi, everyone. We're going to be keeping an eye on the comments for questions. So let's go ahead and get started with Wendy, your chart.
Okay.
And so both Wendy and I have this unique experience. Oh, here it is, add to the stage. Okay. Wendy and I both have this unique experience of, we were born right around eclipse energies. So that makes it important for us to realize that we are always going to be affected by eclipses. We get that extra special bonus of basically every eclipse is going to have something for us in a very big way. Also, if you're born around the time of eclipses, I know that there's a couple people that were born like a week or 2 weeks before. We're in the energy of eclipses now. The new moon last Saturday started off eclipse season. And because it's 2 weeks before the eclipse happens, it's coming up. So it's part of that energy. So looking at her chart, I will show you, I'll have my cursor pointing here a little bit. This is the area of her chart that is Virgo, and this is the area that is Pisces. So it is a full moon last year on her birthday, and she shares it with my daughter-in-law, September 17th. She had an eclipse on her birthday. And anytime that you have the ascendant or sun in the middle of an eclipse, then that is a very personal change for you. So she would have had, the sun would have been right in this area of the chart, and then 25 degrees of Pisces is where it happened, but the sun was still here. So this is about her recognizing something being seen. And this time it's going to be at 15 degrees. So where before it was right on top of her sun at 25 degrees, this time it's going to be at 15 degrees. And that is where Haumea is located, the creator goddess energy, the goddess of the Hawaiian Islands. She was Pele's mother. So coming forward into that energy. The other thing that you can look at is that 15 degrees of Pisces is also in a square to this 16-degree black moon Lilith here. So there's the square, and then there's also a square here to Neptune, because it's 5 degrees either way. So taking a look, we know that she's going to be, I happen to know her perfection year. So she's going to be moving from a 12th house perfection year where she was in an area of isolation more, and this has to do with hospitals and other areas of the chart. And then she's going to be moving into a first house perfection year when she has her birthday. So that is interesting that she's getting this square to both those areas of her chart, this mystical Neptune in your chart. Hello. Higher level communication. The other thing I will say is, if you look at where this eclipse is right here, Mercury on that day is like at 9 or 10 degrees. It is that close. And this is the ruler of, so you have Mercury in its sign where it's not only at home, but it's the extra special place of where Mercury is in exaltation. So even though Mercury is close to the sun within 6 degrees or so, it has its own resources. It's going to have a lot of resources for her. And she just had a Mercury return. Her Mercury is right here at 7 degrees. So about a couple weeks or so ago, you would have had your Mercury return coming back into your chart. So very fortunate she has Mercury in Virgo where it's in exaltation. She also has Jupiter in Cancer natally over here. So looking at what would be happening with her this year is the first house perfection year. Neptune's going to be very involved. Neptune is that very mystical energy. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter would be the time lord of the year. So anything that her natal Jupiter is doing and anything that the transiting Jupiter is talking to. So that happens to be the 8th house, which is also the house of mediumship. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it is the 8th. The 8th house is about mediumship.
Yeah.
So
and I'm going to do a plug because so Wendy and I had a session yesterday, and my mom came through for 2.5 hours. It was like having coffee with my mom, and she nailed my mom so awesomely. And basically, it's the first time I've actually really talked to her since she's been on the other side. It's been 5 years. And Wendy was just the most beautiful channel of bringing my mom across and to really help fill some gaps of some things that have been going on with my siblings. And so Wendy's going to be doing mediumship sessions. We're going to be promoting her, but I just had my first experience yesterday and it was just amazing. So thank you, Wendy.
Oh, thank you, Siri.
She's got the gift.
Well, and it also shows in her chart that she was developing this gift during the past year, even more, because this is the area that it was in. This is both the 12th house and the 8th house are very spiritual houses. And this can be some inherited gifts as well as the 4th house. So this might have opened up more that moon in Pisces could have opened up the fact that you had maybe energy from your family, that this was a gift that was passed down through the generations, because that is 4th house is very much ancestry as well. So that was I think that was one of the questions I asked you. Do you have anybody that has any special gifts in your family that have maybe come down? And you're like, hey, yeah, there are some. So I think that was one of the things that we had talked about. But because you do have the energy of being an eclipse baby, you do get special gifts. It comes with its own unique problems, but it's like once you have learned to work your way through and you're getting to that point, you're coming up on your Chiron return in a year or two, or maybe during this next year, it's going to start to happen. That is going to be more energy for you. And the fact that your north node is in your 11th house of being out in public in Libra, right? Mm-hmm. And you do have Pluto near that area. So for me, it would be number one, relationships. If I was looking at the fact that that's the north node, but it's also out in public. And I know before you were, something that you've had to deal with is being seen out in public. and that you've overcome a lot with that energy of being seen in public. So I think that is really also what's going to be coming up more and more for you, because going into a first house perfection year after you've gone through the 12th house and have kind of learned what your gifts and stuff are, you opening up more to that, and then having Jupiter be the ruler of that, and then Jupiter being in its exaltation in that 8th house. And the nice things that are going to be happening with Saturn talking to it and even getting better, getting much, much better, even because that'll be a trine energy for you. Saturn will be in Pisces moving back in, and that'll kind of almost all the stuff that you've been learning, make it in sync as you're moving forward. So yes, that's definitely something that you can look forward to. And this, like I said, this class is about what I'm going to be teaching for 4 weeks starting in September. So I'm offering a class where people that have signed up for the class, I've already sent them their chart set up like this. And I tell them, okay, this is your perfected house for the year. And this is your Time Lord, the planet that you should be looking at. And you can see in Wendy's chart that as we move through that energy, when she has her birthday, going from, a house that was ruled by Mars into a house that is ruled by Jupiter, it's a much more fortunate thing that she's going to be moving into. And
looking forward to it.
Yeah. So do you have any questions about some of the energy in your chart? I'd be happy to answer.
Honestly, with you going through it, I'm just like nodding my head, thinking about this past year and what I've been through and everything, just kind of the journey. And I remember talking to you a year ago, right before my birthday, and you telling me all of the things that were coming in. And I was just kind of like scratching my head like, oh, okay, all right. And then this year, it's looking back, it's just like, yes, all of those things have passed. All of those things have come through, and it's been a very harrowing year. But I've come so far and learned so much, and I'm like the energy just that I'm feeling. I feel like I'm getting, this momentum has just been building up, and yeah, I can feel that I'm just right at that precipice where it's about to shift.
Well,
so.
And also let me point out, I'll answer your question in what she's doing in just a second, the South Node reversal. But also because you're in this Mars ruled year, all of the planets rule 2 signs, except for the sun and moon. We don't count the outer planets when we're looking in immediate at perfection. I bring them in later on when I'm doing interpretation. But the other house that you were affected by this year was Aries, which is your 5th house, which can be children. So we would probably say that you did have issues involving your children this year. Yeah. So as things moved in, you had Neptune and Saturn moving into that area of the chart. And because they're going to be moving back out, and Jupiter rules this 4th house. So when Jupiter, on your birthday, when this is going to be your 1st house, when you move into your 1st house perfection year, this house and this house are both going to be affected. And I feel like there will be, once Saturn comes in and sees, goes back to that 25 degrees, which is opposite your sun, that a lot of things will have been worked out for you. And as you move forward into that, and as you start moving back into that Aries energy, once it leaves Pisces, once Saturn leaves Pisces, because anything that's going to be in Pisces or Sagittarius this year is going to be something that involves you. And anything here, because the North Node is here. So this is the area that you're moving towards. So anytime something is going to be making an aspect to, like, if the moon is there, or when we have the sun and everything coming up towards Christmas in this area of the chart, all of that will be heavily impacting you. And the sun is usually good, as far as what it's bringing in for energy. So it'll be going over your AC, and then it'll be going over that Neptune, which I anticipate is going to be you getting a glow up again with your energies and powers. So I expect that's going to be happening as we move into Sagittarius season, which would be the end of November. Yeah, No, the end of November. That would be correct. And that's interesting because I know my stuff. It's Sagittarius. At that time, Jupiter is going to be at 25 of Cancer, stationing, and so is Saturn at the end of November. So that extra energy with what you have in your chart and your natal sun being in Virgo at that 24-degree mark, all of them are going to be talking to each other. One of them is going to be in opposition, and one of them is going to be a sextile, and that's Jupiter. So yes, I think that is really, really special energy. So the South Node reversal is you really somebody's trying to get your attention. So as your South Node is going over where your North Node would be, I would say that energy would be you having to release something in order to get on your proper path. It's just like I would say, look at it as a Pluto moment where Pluto has to take something away. Something has to leave in order for it to make space for something new to come in. That's what I would say what the reversal is like. And this is fated energy for everybody that's out there. This is fated energy. If you have things because it's Virgo and Pisces, so it's anything in Sagittarius and in Gemini too, that's in a square. And those are even more powerful being in a square because it does not give you a choice. You have to take action. It's like, okay, I hate to say it, but it's if your house flooded, you have to do something about it, right? Yeah. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing because my sister had that happen. The insurance covered the whole thing. She just had to live with a mess. But basically, after living in a house for 25 years, she basically had her house remodeled. Now, that's what I would call Pisces energy, where something happened that you thought, oh, it's terrible. But then basically, after the mess and all the cleanup and all the yuck, they got chose brand new stuff. It was like getting a brand new house. Yeah. So that's what I would say is very much like a nodal reversal kind of energy is, something that you think is maybe not great or is maybe bad. Actually, it's happening for your greatest and highest good because you're stuck. And this will get you out of that energy. Eclipses are designed to blow you out of your comfort zone and make you uncomfortable. So you have to do something, especially if it's in that square, if it's going to be in anything in Gemini and Sagittarius. So thank you. Thank you for letting me take a look at your chart. Do you have anything that you have to question about that?
When was so that the South Node going over my North Node that's what's in my chart, right? You weren't.
Yeah. Somebody had mentioned it. So you had already had this. You had the South Node and your North Node ended in January. So you had a lot of changes in relationships for the 18 months prior to that.
All of these things are hitting. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about with each of these things. So
yes. And that would be in groups that you associate with and friendships and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. 100%.
Cool. So do we have any kind of other questions that are gone? North Node and Jupiter will be square close to 15. Your Willow Hurlbert. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. I think my North Node and Jupiter will be square close to 15 Gemini. Awesome. If Gemini is like you're going to be forced into good stuff. Basically, that's how I look at it. It's going to be an expansion for you. I would be interested in finding out what your perfection is. If the house that if it's Gemini that it's in, that I would say, what is your ruling time lord for the year? Is it Jupiter or not? It's based on your age and in your house. But again, you can join the class. And I have been sending all that out so people know that for the year and also what their chart looks like this. So let's take a look. I'm going to change this out and I will go to Cerie's chart, but I did have to show you the fact that, you're 60 now. Okay. You're in a first house perfection year. So if Gemini is your first house, congratulations. So whatever your first house is, Willow. Anything, I just want to say too, if you want to know if you were an eclipse baby, basically just type into Google what were the eclipses in whatever year? And you can find that out easily. And if you are within the dates of 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after, then you would be considered in that energy. And that brings a very special fated life, I would say, with fated gifts. And it's sometimes not easy. Oh, there's my dog. It's not always an easy thing, but what comes with it is so special that you learn that adjustment of what's going on. So, okay, you're an Aquarius. Oh, you're going to have fun next year in July when the nodes change signs, because the North Node is going into Aquarius next year. So, yay, good for you. It'll be good for you, Willow. Let me go ahead and change this out to Suri. Okay, go. My dog is getting scared of the sounds out there. Okay, Suri, this is your chart. What I want to show here, let's first of all take a look at where her North Node is. Her North Node is in her second house. And to me, that's, usually a good sign. This is the house of personal resources. I pulled up the date of transits for September 7th for her. Her Venus is right on top of the North Node. Now, I've been taught that, the second house is a money house, the money that you make. And the 8th house is also about other people's money before it's your money. Like if you're getting a tax return, that would maybe show up there. If you're getting an inheritance, that would show up in the 8th house. Any big loans, like for houses, that would show up in the 8th house. But here in the second house, it's your resources versus other people's resources. And Venus can not only mean money, it can also mean women. And love, but I have had a lot of experience lately where Venus has been about our relationships with other women, and that being a resource in that area of the chart. So this is actually, when you think about it, there's going to be that 15-degree eclipse. It's going to be right on top of her Mars, up in this 9th house of legal things, right here. And I know that you've had family things going on that had legal issues and everything. She does also have a yod. Her yod is to Pluto here. So that yod is going to get activated, my dear, because it's between this 10 degrees and this 12 degrees, the sun and the moon. And this is being the 15 going down to this 8. I would say that it probably is going to be activating both your black moon Lilith, because that's at 17, but this Pluto at 8, because Mercury is going to be right on top of the Pluto. I'm in the same situation, Suri, because my Pluto, I think you're just a couple months older than me. And my Pluto is also at 8 degrees and Mercury is going to be there. So that's going to be a big thing for us personally, having Mercury near that Pluto, that transformation. And depending upon the house that it is, for you, it's in the house of siblings or your personal, it can be a personal small business, all of those things. For me, it's my 4th house. So it's probably related to
it's my siblings. Yeah.
It's your siblings.
It's ending soul contracts.
Yeah. And that was a big part of your whole life, because it's a yod, and your yod is usually expressed through your whole life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You have more than one yod, but that's being that it's Pluto that it's pointing to. And it's the 3rd house. Usually that would relate to, like, there's a sibling issue, but yes, the yod
multiple sibling issues.
Well, and you're going to have
multiple.
You're going to have the eclipse. You're going to have the sun right next to your black moon Lilith, and it's going to be right on. So the moon is going to be right on top of your Mars. So seeing things, again, the 9th house is about learning, which, oh yeah, you're setting up a new class coming up. So that could be very related to that. And because that's also teaching, that's a class of higher teaching and belief systems. And you do have Mercury there as well. Let me check the degree of that. Let me look a little closer. Oh, yeah. And that being Pisces, when Saturn comes back, see your Saturn here, when Saturn comes back to that 25 degrees and is going to go over Iris and is going to be right on top of that Mercury, that will be big because that's where the first eclipse happened for this particular axis. And Saturn is going to be going back over the same degrees. And this is a warning for everybody. Remember that lovely Venus, Mercury retrograde that happened in March this past year? That energy is coming back because Saturn is going back through that area of the chart. And Saturn was in that area of the chart when that retrograde was happening. So things about what was happening then, you may have those issues reappearing, but once Saturn goes back to that 25 degrees and then starts moving forward and you've done the work, it's going to be so worth it. It'll be like, okay, fixed forever. Those particular things. Not only did we have Mercury and Venus going retrograde at the same time, Mars was just coming out of its retrograde and was still in shadow. So no one escapes Venus retrogrades and no one escapes Mars retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades are not as bad. They happen often enough, and it's more when it conjuncts something in your chart, it's more of a lesson in that area. But when it was happening on the same degrees as Venus at the same time, setting us up for all this stuff that's coming forward, I feel like we were in training, people, and we are going to be able to handle things a whole lot better than other people have when things are coming up. Because like, okay, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and things are going to be coming up again. And I think it's going to be harder for other people who have learned, like, okay, now you know not to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And not to be in anger. It's like, okay, I know what this is. I'll get it fixed. I've got Saturn working with me, if that makes sense. So that's what I would say about your chart. It's interesting because it does have yods. It does have the North Node. I will say that next year you're going to have a nodal reversal. So again, I always say as we get older, it gets easier because we've a lot of times already learned those lessons. So if you're already on the path that you're supposed to be on, I feel that you're going to get a quantum leap forward into what you're going to be doing. If you're not on the path, those reversals will be like, okay, I'm clearing. It'll be like Pluto. I'm clearing everything off the table until you start heading to where you're supposed to go. And I'll keep clearing the table until you get it. And if you've learned that lesson, then it's like, okay, now this happening is I'm on my path. It's going to give you a quantum leap forward for that energy, if that makes sense in what's going on in your chart.
Yes,
I'm thinking, and because you're in a fourth house perfection year now, Venus is very important for you this year until your birthday comes up next year. So Venus and Taurus is your 11th house. So anything up here that's getting aspected, so you can see what I'm seeing. Okay. So anything up here that gets aspected in the chart and anything that's going, so the Libra season coming up as the Sun and Mercury and all these things move through here, this will be very activated in your chart, just so you're aware that that is coming up. And especially what Venus is doing now, because you're already in this Venus energy, this Venus being on top of your North Node is pretty big, especially that's on an eclipse, that it's happening. To me, that's a pretty huge energy. So I'm actually very excited. Venus is a benefic, and it is the ruler of your perfected house for the year. So is that big? Yes, that is very big. That is very big for you. So I think this is going to be a great year coming up for you, especially in as Venus, because Venus is going to be moving into that area of Virgo, and we'll be there. The other thing coming up is we do have a 29-degree eclipse that's going to be on the 21st of September. That's at 29 degrees. So anything that you have in the later degrees is also going to be activated. So again, Wendy, you having that 24-degree sun, 29 degrees is within 5, and it will definitely, you'll feel that. So you have all of this big energy going forward because of where it's located in your chart. So I would take that energy. It's going to be, you're going into a first house perfection year. So that's great for you because you can use all that energy, especially Jupiter's going to be kind of in charge of your chart. So that's good energy. And the Venus and Mars degrees were also 25. Actually, coming up on the 7th, Venus will be at 15 degrees on that day. So what do you have at 15 degrees in your chart? Anywhere in your chart, what is at 15 degrees? Because that'll tell you, okay, if it's in Gemini or Sagittarius, anything from 10 to 20, it will have that reach of the eclipses and it'll be a square. Action is required. Action is required. If it's in a trine, this is meant to push you forward on your path in a beneficial way, and it will be easier flowing than the square, which will get you there by any means necessary. A square is by any means necessary. It doesn't have to be bad, but it will be by any means necessary. Where a trine is, it'll be easier flowing energy. Now, an eclipse with a sextile is that I would say there's a big opportunity that you can take advantage of. Big. So if you have something that is related to those houses in your chart, then I think, especially if it's the 15 degree exactly in your chart, then you can take a look at what areas those are and maybe see where something might be showing up for you. And generally that will involve another person making an offer of some kind or news getting to you from, you could be sitting next to somebody at a coffee shop and hear about a job opportunity. That could be it, right? So those are the things that you look at. Girl gone. It's okay. I'm going very quickly because I want to show you that we do look at things in the chart, and what you can take away is the fact that you know where you're going to have the most energy in your chart for the year. That's part of what this class is. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is the eclipse energy for each person's chart. So I can say, okay, this is your planet for the year. What's it talking to? What's it talking to in the chart? And where are the eclipses for you in your chart? What houses are they in? Because as I was pointing out, okay, this happens to be your house of children. Did that resonate? Yeah. So there's different things you can do just by starting to know what the most important planet is in your chart for the year. The technique might be a little bit more for you to understand. You don't have to understand that part. I do. All I need to do is tell you which one it is and explain the one that you'll have the following year and what houses to watch, what signs those are in. And then you'll know, oh, so it's going to be about, it's Aquarius. So it's going to be about my 8th house if I'm Ceres, right? So those are the things that you look at in the chart. But again, that's one of the first things I do. You get your chart, and then you find out what is your perfected houses, and then what is your time lord for the year. So the 7th house is marriage, legal affairs, and cooperation. 7th house, yes, marriage or partners of any kind, or the other, or open enemies. It's you and another person. 1st house is self. 7th house is you and an other. It can also be if you are doing one-on-one client work. That is people in the 7th house. That can also be that. So if you have a very active 7th house, yes, it's about marriage. It's about legal contracts, yes. But I would say it can also be like your high school alter ego girl, that would be that relationship where that would be in the chart, would be the 7th house. It's about you and another person. Normally it's not enemies, but it can be because it's you and someone else. It depends on what planets are there. If Mars is there, it's a tougher time. If it's, and depending on the sign that it is, because if you have like a sign that is more prone to more than one marriage, like Sagittarius is, that could be something that relates to that area of the chart. So 12th house is magic, very good. Past lives, secrets. It's, and also the time right before you were born, some of that energy shows up in the 12th house. It's also about, I actually was reading somebody's chart one time and I was like, well, it can be about, you know, houses, places of seclusion, going on retreats, and it can be about hospitals or prisons. Sometimes people that work in hospitals will have active 12th house charts. This person met her husband in a prison. They both worked in a prison, because she started laughing and I'm like, what? She goes, oh, I met my husband in a prison. That's why I think it's funny. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you never know what that can show up as, but it was a 12th house thing. And she had a very active 12th house. 12th house can also be what they call living in exile. That means that can be a foreign country. People that have active 12th houses all sometimes get, or it's activated for a certain period of time. They can be living in a foreign country for a while because of that activation, especially if they have a slower moving planet moving through there. That would very much be that kind of energy. So do we have Moon in Capricorn at 15? Oh, yep. And Chiron in Taurus at 15. Okay. Yes. You're going to have the energy of Venus being at 15 degrees as well. So that would definitely affect you. If Sun in the 7th house is Capricorn, Sun in the 7th house is Capricorn. Okay. So you're a Cancer rising, and you would probably want someone that's steady, does what they say they're going to do, get stuff done. That's what you would look at as what your person would be like. I knew somebody that had Virgo in the 7th house, and they liked a guy who was particular about how he looked, that he looked nice, was, you know, the way he, you know, I said, so you don't want somebody showing up with a sloppy shirt on. She goes, no. She had Virgo in the 7th house. That's what she wanted, somebody that, you know, had good characteristics that way. So any other questions that we have going on here? I will go ahead and let me bring up, I know she couldn't make it, but I want to bring up Denise's chart because I thought that—
Actually, she's in the chat.
Oh, is she? Denise, hello. I'm going to bring up your chart. We'd already talked about some of these things.
Yeah, and Venus wants you to look at hers as well. She's in the chat comments too.
If you don't care, Venus, I believe I have yours and I can pull it up. So let me take a look. First of all, we'll look at Denise's. Hi, Spirit Dragon. Okay, let me go to Denise's chart. Denise has actually taken a couple of my classes already. So I was very proud of what she came up with not too long ago. So for her, she's actually going to have a very active time with the eclipse energy, because it's going to be, the sun is going to be right on top of her Uranus in her 12th house. And she also has the moon and Pluto at 14 degrees. So yes, very activated in unusual ways coming up for this year. And it's directly across from her Chiron. The North Node is right at 18 degrees and the moon will be at 15. So this is in the area of her 6th house is everyday work. And I really think that, Denise, I think this is probably going to be you opening up into areas where you're going to help other people with what their Chiron wounds are. That's the Pisces is a spiritual house, doing spiritual things every day. I know that she's getting ready for retirement. She's in a 1st house perfection year. And so it's Libra for her right now. Yeah, as if things, yeah, hang on, it'll get better. But it's kind of crazy that it's going to be on top of Uranus. So this Uranus energy I would be talking to Archangel Uriel, because that's the first thing that came into my head is like, Uriel is going to be very, things download. So yeah, November 1st, one of the things that happened that we had a question on was that she's going to be retiring on November 1st is her official retirement date. So we actually went in and looked at her chart on that day for November 1st. And I was looking at it and I'm like, you know what? And I was really looking and I'm like, you know what? I am not seeing anything that jumps out at me regarding this retirement. And she was like, well, and then I told her, sometimes what happens is that's not the date. That's not the date that there wasn't, that something significant happened. It may be the day that you signed paperwork or something like that. So she told me, yeah, July 29th. So she's like, July 29th. So I'm going to pull that up so you can see what this looks like. She said, oh, July 29th. That's when the lawyer called me and told me that's when I would be retiring. And he told her. So it's July 29th. We're going to pull that up. Now, remember, Venus, she's in a first house perfection year. So it's all about her until her birthday comes up. We're going to put in the transits for July 29th because that's the date she came up with. What is happening here? So we look at the chart. She's in a first house perfection year. She has Mercury in her first house. Anything that's in your first house is there to help you out through your life, right? So Mercury is here and Mercury is over her Mars in this 11th house. Can you see that energy? So in that 11th house, Mercury on that day is over Mars. Her lawyer called and told her that she would be separating from a group that she had involvement in on that day. And Mars can be about separation and breaking away. So I found that and she's the one that actually saw it first because she pulled up that day first and she goes, oh, does that have something to do with it? Yes. Yes, it does. Because Mercury was in her first house of Libra. So I took that into account. And I think we also were looking at what Venus was doing at the time. Venus was right around her north node and opposite her 29-degree black moon Lilith. So here's Venus. Venus is her chart ruler in Gemini about, talking. It's in the 9th house, things that we learn. And transiting Venus, so her natal Venus, where's that? Oh, also in that 11th house here, 27 degrees, opposite Saturn. So yes, that was that 29th day. There wasn't actually anything activating that. The moon wouldn't have been. Yeah. What to me was the activation was the transiting Venus being, conjunct her north node. Now she's moving into she's meant to do is what I would say. She's moving into what she's meant to do. And that's when she got that news. Huh?
Is there a trine there too with those?
Yeah, that would be that would be Venus is trining things in her first house. So yeah, that would be correct because she has this is 20, hang on. I have to get a little closer for me to see it. Okay, so this is I think this is like at 27 degrees and this is 26. So right there in that area still, tight orb. This would be, yes, trine things in her chart. The other thing unique about her is she has Hecate at 0 degrees. Hecate, the goddess of crossroads, of portals. And she has it in her first house at 0 degrees. So as our friend Nat would say, she had Hecate was there at her birth, being the midwife is how we kind of explained it to her. So all of that energy, I think, is bringing her forward. And when she has her birthday, which is, what's the date? In October. So all of this is happening. These eclipses are happening before her birthday. So you have to think about that energy. And then when she moves on her birthday, when she has her solar return, that will move her into the Scorpio house, which would be Mars. So what is Mars going to be doing for the year? Neptune is right there. Neptune is going to be going to 0 degrees in Aries, this is important because Aries is also ruled by Mars. So the things that are happening in Aries this year after her birthday and next year, because that'll be the whole year ahead, those are going to be big events for her, which is in her house of clients, actually, in the 7th house, the one-on-one. So that's what I would say is when you look at the chart that way, then it's going to be her resources. And it's also going to affect her one-on-one relationships. And that can be with clients. So let me go ahead and pull up Venus's chart because I'm pretty sure I have it. Again, you can sign up for me. It's $40 for 4 classes. We are recording those as well. Venus, do I have you underneath a different name? No. I thought I had you in here. Venus, if you want to put that in the chat, I'll pull it up quick. I'll put it in quick.
She did.
Okay, she did. Okay.
So she's, the place is Annapolis, Maryland. Yeah.
I know I've read her chart, so I'm not sure why it's not here. Okay.
And the date is 3/18/82 with the time, 3/18/82 for the date. Let me know when you're ready for the time.
Okay. March 3/18. What's the year again?
82.
Time?
3:56 a.m.
Ah, night baby. It's Annapolis. I know I've read your chart, Venus. I know I have. Continue. Okay. Venus, how old are you? Okay. I guess I can do math, but 43. Okay, perfect. All right. So what I will show you is based on her age, which is 43. This house, the first house is when you're 12 or 24 or 36 or 48. So her being 43, so I'll count backwards. This would be 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43. This is Virgo. These eclipses are going to be affecting you because it's happening in Virgo. And the opposite is you had this Mercury in your 2nd house of personal resources. The eclipse is going to be at 15 degrees. So it'll be 15 degrees where the sun is up here in the chart and 15 degrees down here, Urania, right over Urania. Urania is the goddess of astrology. So that's funny. And then at the end of the Virgo season, the new moon is going to be at 29 degrees. That is going to be opposite her sun at 27 degrees. So this is big energy. And not only is Virgo, and Mercury would be the ruler of your chart for the year, Mercury is going to be coming into Virgo and will be there. I'm going to need to change this date back so we can see exactly what it looks like for you. Back to September 7th. There we go. So you are going to have the chart ruler. Come on. Mercury in Virgo at the time of this, and in an opposition with the Mercury here. So I think that there would be 8,000. I think there's going to be some news coming in regarding resources. And I don't think it's going to be complete until after that other eclipse happens at 29 degrees. I get the feeling, just because Mercury will be moving through this area of the chart. And also for you, very important in your house, your 5th house in Gemini, you're having Uranus come in and out. You don't have any planets here, but make note of the fact that in the spring next year, oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. You're going to change in March. You'll change to a different house. So it'll be Mercury. Your birthday next March. You'll move into Libra, and then it'll be Venus in charge. And you have a lot going on here. So it's going to be a very, very, very busy year at that time. And you also have Taurus down here where your Chiron is located. So I imagine that's going to be a pretty significant year for you after your birthday next year, I would say. But you do have these eclipses happening, and they are going to be affecting your sun is here. So that's a very personal thing, opposition in your house of resources. Now, the North Node, the good news is the North Node is up here in Pisces. So this is the house of, the 8th house is about unseen things. The other inheritances. So I don't know if there's things regarding inheritance that will be coming in. It almost feels like there's something that way because Mercury is in an opposition, and that can be, Mercury can be about contracts and news, different energies like that. But Mercury will be traveling through Virgo and will be going on to that 29 degree area of the chart. So I think that's going to be, you have some time to work through that. But eclipses also last like 6 months to a year. So this could be happening over the course of 6 months because the eclipses don't happen right like that, right away. So does that make sense, Venus? I hope. So that's what's going on for her next year. But I feel like because she has a very active Libra, there'll be things moving into that area of the chart. Very busy. So that's about higher learning. It could also be the legal things. It could be high travel. It could be travel as well. That's foreign travel, things like that. So, but I think we need to wrap it up. I'm sorry, Girl Gone. I'm sorry. But we need to wrap up. But so that's basically how the classes are going to be set up. We're going to be talking about what the big movements are. The first things are going to be the eclipses on the 8th. We will look at everybody's chart. Because the idea is people can, and I like the fact that Wendy, you brought up that you saw the trine. That's what I want to encourage, that you can look at other people's charts. You know how you learn astrology? You look at charts. You see the connections. And that makes a huge difference as to what's going on. Once you learn to make those connections, then you can start seeing it for yourself. A lot of times I will, I'll have something really weird happen and I'll be like, that was really strange, kind of out of the box. And I'll go back and look at my chart for the day. And what I will find is that one of the faster moving things like Mercury or the moon, or there'll be an exact conjunction of something with Uranus. If it's something really, I've had Uranus hit. I'm in the middle of a Uranus square going on right now in my chart for the next 6 months. So I've had really unusual things happening. So yes, the classes will be held on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. They will be recorded. If for some reason it's a problem for you to make those recordings, I will set up an alternate time to work with people. Like I have people that might be taking this from Australia. I have people that might be taking this in Europe. So I will, because their times are so different, but it's the Mondays starting, it's the 4 Mondays starting in September on September 8th, because it's after the Labor Day weekend. And it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's $40 for 4 classes. So it's an opportunity for you to really find out some information about your chart. And anybody that signs up, I run their chart for them. I tell them what their perfected houses are and the most important planet in their chart for the year. And that's what we look at as we go through, because that's my favorite technique for looking ahead. And I've read the charts of several people here, and they were always very, Laura, somebody else is happy they're going to be signing up, I know. So that is a really great opportunity for you to actually get your hands on your chart and see what other people's charts look like and learn really how things happen. You don't need to know the technique of figuring out what your perfected houses are. That's my job. I'm an astrologer. I know the higher techniques. But if you kind of know that a little bit ahead of time, then you can go, oh, so if I know that this year it's this planet, and I will tell you what your next year's planet is going to be, then that's the stuff that you can watch for in your chart and go, okay, I can make plans now. I can see that this is going to be something that's going to be regarding, oh, my home. I'm probably going to move this year because my 4th house is Virgo, and Virgo's getting eclipsed, and there's all this energy going on, and Mercury is very active. A lot of things are very active, and it's going over my Pluto. So that's that energy as well. So I know that things are changing. And it's probably going to be related to where I'm living as well as a few other things. So thank you. Please sign up for class. The information was listed in the initial advertisement. I will put it also in the comments shortly. I'll just copy and paste, and there's a link right to go and book it, and you will really get benefit out of this. I'm excited because people get to see other people's charts and learn. Yeah. So this is why it's called Learn As You Go.
I think it's great. And thank you for reading ours. That was really helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's an awesome opportunity to actually get to have it in front of you. So.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
We'll see you tomorrow live.
Yeah, join live.
Don't forget us tomorrow so you can get some cards drawn. So we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, Jack is done.
Saying bye too.
All right.